Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, to increase your profits, to ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and this week we have a very special guest, Elida Field. We got this podcast going because Elida has a book coming out that I think you're going to like. And I brought her on to talk about it. But this is not a podcast where the guest just talks about what they have to offer, her book. We've spent very, very little time on the book. I actually asked her about it at the end of it to explain exactly what it is. But we actually went off on a tangent. Instead of focusing a lot on what Elida has done in her art career, which she's done classes, she's a single mom of 3 doing a bunch of different things in the art world, just trying to pay her bills with a paintbrush, and she leads travel groups, and it's just, so we go off on a tangent and travel for a while. So if you're interested in art and travel, this will be a very interesting conversation for you. Anytime an artist or really anybody that I meet in person online starts talking about travel and the cool places that they want to go or have been, I latch onto it. I just can't help it. I love talking about travel. And so that's what we're going to do in this episode. And stick around if you are at all inspired to go on your own art adventure by the end of this. I am going to share the details of our upcoming Costa Rica Mural Meetup. It'll be January of 2026. And I think you're going to like it. But first, here's the interview with Elida Field. All right, Elida. Can you give us a background of your art career and how you got to the point of now writing a book all about helping artists?
Yes, the book is called Nobody Dies in Art Class. So it's all the lessons I've taught in art and then had to learn in my life. So I've been drawing and painting since I was about 4 years old, and then didn't decide to do it as a career until I was a couple years into college. And I was realizing I was doing all of this art stuff for college. And I said, I think I'm going to pursue art as a career. Of course, that caused me to have a very deep conversation with my parents, who were saying, Elida, you know, all the things about how, are you sure? And so I convinced them because I got a minor in history. And I said, okay, if I don't make it as a full-time artist, I will go back on my dime and get a teaching degree. And I have a core subject that I could also do. So I never had to go back to college. And here we are 30 years later and still doing it. So I guess I was right.
It feels good to kind of prove the parents wrong
Yes, I think those people, and I would always advise to people starting out, if you can get what I wish I would have done was got some kind of a degree in business, because I had to learn all of the business things after college. It's like, great, I know how to paint, I know how to do all these different mediums. I'm skilled in the arts, but now what, right? So I think a lot of times people might have these other skill sets and then not have that business side. So if you are thinking of going to college, double major or get a minor in business, and then also pursue your same thing with your art. So, and then after that, I guess what happened after college that, you know, I was doing like some painting and murals and commissions and things like that. I started my family really young. So I was like in my early 20s and had already had my first daughter, and I have 3 kids. So I started early. So then it was actually going through a really hard time. I was separated from my ex-husband, and I moved from Texas. I was pregnant. I had a 3-year-old at the time. Good times, 9 months pregnant, moving back to Washington State. And during that year of separation, I needed to do something to help support my family. And I was nursing then a newborn baby and had this 3-year-old. And I said, okay, Elida, well, what do you know how to do? You know how to speak Spanish, and you know how to paint and to teach, because I just was kind of a natural teacher. So I actually proposed to the little Christian school that was right up the hill from my parents' house. And I said, listen, how about I teach like an after-school art program to the kids? and an after-school Spanish program. So I called it Art Van Go. It was a little play on the words because I had a minivan and it was on the go. And I called it Spanish to Go. So Art Van Go and Spanish to Go. And it was a 1 hour. On Tuesdays was art, and then on Thursdays was Spanish. And I think it was in this moment that I realized, wow, there is such a need for an after-school program, and I could make more money doing 2 hours a week of teaching than I could with probably a full-time job at that time. So it was a huge support to my family, and it was just a really good way to make some supplemental income. And then here we are, fast forward again, 25 years later, right? So what happened, the rest of the story? Well, I continued with that. I eventually got back together with my husband. He moved up here, and I continued to expand to other schools and keep teaching, and then doing my painting as like a side hustle. So I was always painting and doing some shows and selling my work. And then I was doing the teaching kind of as a combo. And then again, 2009, I went through another separation, and this time we actually did divorce, and it was like the worst time in history. We're going through a recession. We had just built this big, beautiful house on property, and I've got 3 kids, and I'm just doing my art as a like supplemental income. Well, he stops working. We short sell the house. And I'm like, again, Elida, what do you know how to do? You know how to paint and how to teach. So at this moment, what a great time to open up my own art studio. And so 2009, within that year, I opened up my art studio downtown Camas, and I was running classes and workshops. I also decided to lead a tour to Italy. In that same year, so 2010, I led my first tour, 12 women, 12 days, an Italian priest in Italy. And he was our tour guide, and there's a whole rest of the story with him. So that kind of spiraled me into full-time art career. And I continued then with my art studio. I continued then to lead more tours, and I kept growing my business. So I do several things. I think there's several revenues and income streams that I pull from. So I do anywhere, like we have our after school program that we've now expanded to multiple school districts. So I have like 5 different teachers who are teaching my curriculum now as the after school program. We have Art for Teens that's actually at my art studio, and they do a painting class every week. And then we have Art Women Wine class, which is my adult class. I actually can't technically call it Art Women Wine because insurance is like, are you serving wine? And I'm like, no, we aren't. But women can bring their own wine. So we joke about it because it started out like that, where we called it Art Women Wine. So I have a class for them. It's an adult class for painting. I do still lead tours to Italy, Croatia, Greece. Those are the 3 countries I've been to. We've led 33 tours since 2010. I also do workshops. So we'll do like retreats and in the United States workshops. And that happens, I've been doing for like the last 5 years, a special one called Eden Wild that's up in the San Juan Islands here in Washington. And then I'm on TV once a month. I do a segment on TV, an art segment on AM Northwest. And I've been doing that for about 15 years. And then I do commission paintings. I also paint live, and I have done some murals, so I can relate with that. Mostly through schools, and those are my primary big ones, through the schools that I've done some collaborative projects with them. And what else? Painting just for what I want to do for myself, painting. I've been working on a series recently on just dealing with a lot of grief and going through a big year of healing. And so when I get that opportunity to just paint from my heart, from my gut, from my soul, it's really inspiring. So that's what I've been working on recently, on top of all the other things that we've got going. And then in the meantime, I thought, let me write a book. So here I am.
Something like writing a book and doing all the things. You had mentioned you're doing a series through grief. I feel like writing a book and all the things kind of helps to keep the mind busy and to where it's inspiring in a way. And so good for you for doing all the things, because it is a lot. Writing a book is a lot, and putting on events is a lot. Okay, let's start with the events, because I also put on events. We're actually preparing for, we call them mural meetups. So we go somewhere and we paint a mural and we stay at a place. We have one coming up in Costa Rica in January. So I'm curious on your end. So like the back end, how did these get started? Where was the connection? How did you get into connection with the priest? And do you, is it all priest led?
No, yes. And I'm not even Catholic. That's the ironic thing, right? So it's like, how is this gal doing these trips with this priest and she's not even Catholic? So back in 2009, my grandma started to paint when she was in her 70s. And she had her first solo art show at 81. So those listeners that are saying, I'm too old, or is it too late for me? Or no, it's never too late. So I was always flying down to California, helping her with painting. So I was basically getting to be my grandma's teacher. And then when she had the solo art show, I had to go check it out. So she's like, Elida, you're in for this real treat. There's this Italian priest that's doing all these paintings and it's auctioned off, and 100% of the proceeds will build an orphanage in Uganda. And I'm like, okay, like this is the best weekend ever, right? Like this is all in my total wheelhouse of things that I love. And so we go to this event. It's at this beautiful house in California. They have this huge courtyard, and he had all his paintings outside hanging. I'm looking around and I see this wine on the table, and it has this label that's called Bruno's Blend, and his name's Father Bruno. In the book, I call him Father Gio, so you'll know that I changed all the names. So Father Bruno, and I go, well, where is this priest? And I look over, and there's this guy in his 60s wearing a white button-down linen shirt and wearing some Birkenstocks, smoking a cigar. And I'm like, that's the priest? Like, what the heck is going on here? So he had done these paintings with stucco and burlap and had used the old Italian masters techniques in his paintings, and I just loved them. So I end up buying a painting. And as he's signing the painting for me, I say, listen, I teach this group, this artist group called Art, Women, and Wine. Would you be willing to come and teach a workshop? And he looks over my painting and he says, did you say art, women, and wine? And I said, yeah. He goes, I could be chill with that. And I thought, oh my God, goodness, this guy is something. So now all of a sudden I'm leading this group at my studio, which was in my house at the time. And he's coming from, he was bopping around from California, Idaho, helping at different parishes. So he comes to do this workshop. Well, I'm also going through a divorce at the same time. Like when the time I talk to him to the time he's going to do the workshop, my ex-husband and I end up splitting up. So I am going through, I'm like, should I cancel it? Should I not cancel it? Well, it was too late. I had all these women coming, and he shows up to my house and he just starts to cook. Well, it wasn't part of the deal. We weren't doing a workshop with food, but it became an Italian meal. You can't say no to pasta. And so it was during this time, he's from Italy. And so he's led a study abroad program over there for like 25 years at a university. And so he speaks 5 languages. He's got all this artist background, but he also has this connection with Italy. And so after the second night of the workshop, we're sitting around my table. We're all eating pasta. The wine is coming. Everybody's drinking a glass of wine. And one of the gals lifts up her wine glass and she says, let's all go to Italy. And I was like, yeah. And I'm clinging my glass and the wine is spilling and everybody's cheering. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, there is no way in hell I'm going to Italy because I am newly separated. I'm 3 kids, and I don't even know how I'm going to pay next month's rent. There's no way I'm doing a trip to Italy right now, but let's just live in the moment. So I end up taking Father Bruno to the bus station. So he's taken a vow of poverty. So he has no possessions. He just travels with a backpack and a cell phone. Literally, he shows up and asks if I had a Goodwill. And I was like, yes. And we goes, well, if it's okay with you, we go there. So we go to the Goodwill. He buys the clothes he's going to wear for the week. He returns them at the end of the week. He just is very unusual kind of person. But he travels all over the world and he does these big paintings and raises money for all kinds of wonderful causes. And so as he's preparing to leave here in Washington, get back on the bus, I looked at him and I said, you know, if I had done my life different, I would be more like you. And he looked at me and he says, you know, Ellie, there's those people who talk about what they want to do, and there's those who do it. So which one are you? And I stood there with the biggest lump in my throat as the tears started to come down. And I really took that to heart. And so over the next few weeks, I sent out an email to everybody and I said, all right, who was drinking too much wine? Who was serious? And if I organize for us to go to Italy, who wants to go? And within the next year, we organized our first tour and off to Italy we went with Father Bruno leading the whole group the whole way. I relied really heavily on him. But the irony of this, and I write about this in the book, is that first tour, he's like, oh, we're going to rent these chateaus that are outside of Rome. Well, we get there and they are trailers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but like, I'm just relying on him. And I had to remember that he had led students. I'm leading a group of middle-aged women. So I'm like, okay, all the time, the things that he's thinking are going to be a good idea aren't necessarily a great idea for my age group of people. Like, that's great for college kids, but like, so I had this whole book of like note to self, like, okay, Elida, that was a big fat failure. Okay, note to self, that didn't work out so good. And yet it was one of the most magical experiences with the group, and people still talk about that first tour. So I never had an intention of doing this as part of my career. It was like, take my group, we did it, we made it, we went to Italy, we had this big adventure. And then what happened was everybody started asking me, like, when's the next one? And I'm like, guys, I'm not a tour guide. I'm not even a travel agent. I don't have any, I love travel, but this is not something that I am trying to do as a full-time job or whatever. So, but they just kept asking, and then more people found out, and then more people found out. And Father Bruno goes, Ellie, we only went to Florence and Rome, but let's do the Amalfi Coast, or let's do this other part of Italy. And I'm going, okay. So I just began to start researching. I mean, in those early days, I would be on the phone at midnight, 1 a.m, because there was a 9-hour change. And so over in Italy, I'd have to talk to them in the morning time. So I would work these like swing shift hours as I'm calling hotels, checking in with different busing companies, working out all the itinerary, figuring out like how it's going to work for the group. It was definitely a grassroots experience. Like, it was me doing it with just the connections I was making then in Italy and trying to deviate from what his suggestions were because he clearly didn't know my people, right? So I had to really go on my own to try to make that. And now I have somebody that I work with. She's from the South, and I really rely heavily on her. She's Italian, and she'll do a lot of like, hey, these are the hotels I'm thinking. Can you call, check in with them? So I still do everything from creating the menu for the group, which I will tell you, if you're doing this now, don't do the menu. Don't even give them the option. Just let them eat on their own, because, well, then every time I try to stop doing it, people are like, the meals are our favorite part, Elida. Like, you do such a good job of curating this amazing spread of food. But it's just become so hard with all the different, this one's not gluten, this is no gluten, this one doesn't do fish on Tuesdays, this one has this kind of allergy or this allergy. So you have, 12 to 20 people that all have different dietary things, and you're trying to take them to Italy where everything is full of gluten. Fat chance for us to find gluten-free. And although I will say that the food is so fresh that a lot of people who struggle with food here don't have those same dietary problems there. So I will have to give that caveat that I'm like, I lose 5 pounds every time I go to Italy. My skin looks better. My hair looks better. My sex appeal is like sky high. My confidence is just way better. Everything's just better. You just look better. You feel better. Everything's better in Italy. So it was never my intention to lead these artistic tours. It was just meant, especially, specific for my group. And then it's kind of morphed and changed over the years. We've done, like I said, 33 tours. So the first tour was 12 days. And what I found was for some people that was hard because they could only get like a week off at a time. And some people wanted a longer period of time. So what I've done, and maybe something for you to think about too as you grow into this retreats and things like that, I will do back-to-back tours. So I would do the first tour is going to be 8 days, 7 nights. And you're going to do Rome, Florence, Cagliari, these like 3 regions. We finish in Rome. The day that we finish, the next group starts. And now we're going to go south and we're going to do the Amalfi Coast. Now,
oh, wow.
So people can come for both weeks, totally different dynamics and tours, but I'm already there, right? I've already taken the time to fly over there. So a lot of times people will come for one tour or the other, or they'll just come for both tours and do back-to-back tours.
How old are your kids? Because I have a toddler.
Okay.
And so really my main thing as we're planning this is like, sometimes my husband comes like halfway through and brings him, and then we do a little thing. But really just being away from him for more than like 4 days is a lot. So this next one, I'm like, we're doing 7. I'm going to be back.
Yes. So you're in a completely, when I started this, my youngest was 5.
Okay, yeah.
And so my older kids, like my kids are adults now. So I have a 28-year-old, I have a 25 and 21. So I am a free bird. I do have a grandson, so that pulls me, Nona time. I want to come back for some Nona time, but I'm in a completely different space than I was when I first started. Now, with that being said, I would do the tours and a lot of times in the summer when the kids were getting out of school, and they would have that first month with their dad. So a lot of times they were already going to be gone with their dad, and I could go do those, spend that time on the travel time. I also took my kids and we did a whole summer in Italy. And so that was an incredible, it's hilarious. We had an old Fiat, and they would have to get out and push it because I had to jump the clutch. It was a piece of
travel stories. Everything goes wrong in travel.
Everything goes wrong. So I'm like, everybody out, push, 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 push. Okay, jump in, jump in, jump in. So everyone's jumping in, like real safe, right? But I would do it where I had either somebody watching them during the time I was leading the group tour because I didn't want to have that responsibility, or my older kids, once they became teenagers and, once they were older, like 18 and older, they can come on the tour. So it did allow me, I think it's a great idea if your husband, a toddler, can come and you go do that and then maybe have some time with them and then just make that a family vacation after where you guys get to go spend some time together. Because it's really important to me. I've been a single mom since Weston was 5. So I've been having to kind of juggle this traveling with all of the other things in their lives. But I would do that a lot of times, that bulk of travel when they were already going to be at their dad's. So that made sense. It was an easy thing for me to justify because I knew that they were, okay, I could be home and they could be at their dad's, or I could be in Europe and they could be at their dad's. So
how many travel tours do you do a year?
So since I do the back-to-back like that, there's like technically 2 tours. but
Okay.
I'll do anywhere between 2 and 4. So
Okay.
technically, or generally speaking, I would do a spring or summer, and I would do like a couple back to back there. And then I would do something again in the fall. I like doing that not in the summer just because 2 things. One, I love the summers in the Pacific Northwest. So if there's anywhere in the world I want to be, it's like home. And 2, it's high season for a lot of places. So when I've done a group in September, even in the Amalfi Coast, and I'm like, wow, it has gotten so busy here that I really prefer the shoulder seasons where it's a little less crowded. And especially if you're in a high tourist area. So currently, though, this year I'm turning 50 and I'm taking a sabbatical year. So no tours in 2025, 2026. I am going to leave in October and I'm starting my voyage to 50 countries. So I'm going to try to do as many as I can in this year. And who knows? I mean, if I fail, oh, geez, Elida, you're a big fat loser. You only got to 25 countries. It's like you're only...
How much time are you giving yourself?
A year.
A year? So you're going to be traveling straight for a year?
I'll come back at Christmas.
Yeah. Whoa.
And I've got to come back in April because my son's graduating college. So I have 2 anchor times that I'll come home. But the loose plan is that I'll start out in Greece because there's an art school that I want to go to there. So I'm going to just give myself this gift of going to paint for a couple weeks and kind of kick off my birthday. My birthday's October 7th. And then after that, I'll hit all the Eastern Bloc countries. So I'm trying to go up to Bosnia, Albania, Croatia, Romania, kind of hit that whole Eastern side as much as I can. Montenegro, they're small countries. So even if I'm 3 days in Montenegro and 5 days in Albania, I can kind of get a lot of them under my belt. And then I'll come home at Christmas. I'll regroup, make sure everything's going good with my business here because I can still be gone because I've got my classes set with teachers teaching. So the business will continue just without me. I'll still be doing things, but okay, Elida's home for a month. She's going to be doing a paint night here. She's going to be doing this here. I'll have these little moments to connect with people, but then boom, come January, I'm going south. I'm going to do Central South America. So maybe I'll see you in Costa Rica.
Yes, please stop on by. So let's continue to be internet friends because I also love travel. I've been to 45 countries and just love it. Yeah. So when you're saying you're going to Europe and those areas, I'm like, yes, those are the really affordable areas and it's just beautiful and I'm
so excited. I'm so jealous that you've already been to 45. You're way ahead of me. I mean, it's people are like, Lita, you go to Italy because I'll go to Italy, almost once or twice a year. And then a lot of times I'll bounce over to Spain, but I don't do a lot after that. I'll just kind of travel through Italy or I'll go up to Spain because I have friends in Spain. But this will be good for me to push myself to areas that I haven't explored. So I'm super excited about it. But yeah.
If you find your way going to Southeast Asia, that is my favorite place in the world.
Okay, I've never been there. So you have to give me all the deets. I do want to go there. And I was going to be leading a tour to Africa. I did a couple years ago. I was in Tanzania and I worked with this group called Red Sweater Project. And I was teaching at the school and then we did this big safari and it was wow. I was a 7-year-old again, because you're like, those are real elephants in the wild, or that is a real giraffe, just living. It's just living here and we're just watching it. And so I was like, this would be such an incredible thing to take artists to. Hey guys, do you want to go stand out in the Serengeti under this pretty cool tent and be painting, a herd of zebras while we just sip on our little drinks and enjoy the nature? And so I really wanted to do that. And I know that this year it wasn't going to work out, but it's something that's kind of on the back burner because it was something that I had such a great experience with and a place that I'd like to share with people. But that's the hard part is that people will you kind of get known for an area and then you get these repeat travelers and they're like, okay, Elida, we've already been to this place with you. can we go to Croatia? Could we go check out, so then I just began to start expanding because I had a lot of repeat people that would want to come back and keep traveling with me. So the downside with that is that when you're coming up with new itineraries, it takes a lot of time on the uploading, as you know. So I'm like, when I really was doing the math and I'm sitting down with some advisors, they're like, so you're making 10 cents an hour,
Yeah.
The amount of time that like everybody's like, oh, it's so fun. Like, look at you just getting to travel and you're getting to do all these like wonderful experiences. I'm like, yes, but you have no idea the amount of time it takes to make that experience streamlined and good and organized. And like they get to just show up and it's all taken care of. But the amount to get it to that place, it's a lot of work. So when I'm coming up with new ideas all the time, I'm having to go back to the drawing board with where are we going to stay? What restaurants are we going to go to? Which, excursions are we doing? So it's a lot more work where I'm starting to kind of reassess like, okay, I'm getting older. My energy, as high as it is starting to get tired on these big excursions all the time. So what is a sustainable next step for me? And what do I really want to do? And it might be more like picking a place, staying at the place, doing some day trips, but like this is home base. I'm not schlepping you with your suitcases back to the next hotel. I'm not worried about Margaret who lost her, contacts and she can't get on the bus on time. I like none of that. Like we just can be like, you guys are good. Everybody's like staying here. You're settled. And then just having it be day trips is a lot more, I think it's just a lot more where I'm headed. So part of this year will help me to kind of get some clarity on what I want to do moving forward.
Love that. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of time by yourself. I've done the solo travel a little bit. I really like to bring people with me but then it just depends on, because there's so many people that you meet along the way. But if you find yourself anywhere going near Morocco, Marrakesh was one of my top places as well. So it's like stepping in an Aladdin movie. I was very wowed going there.
Yes.
But yeah,
I've been there once years ago.
Really?
Yes, I was dating an Italian Ethiopian leather shop owner from Florence, Italy, and he took me on it's in the book.
Oh, great.
You'll have to be like, it was a surprise, darling. Could you please pack your bags? We're going on an excursion. And all of a sudden I'm in Morocco going, what the heck, Sam? I didn't realize that we were going to be leaving the country, but I was only there for a few days and I am totally with you. It is totally an Aladdin movie. Like you just walk back and you're like, it's like, all the little noises and there's monkeys and there's, just camels and the vibrancy and the spices and the people. And I definitely want to go back to Morocco. But I'm not sure I'll do it on this because I'll be doing Central South America. Then on the next phase, I was going to try to get to Northern Europe. I don't know if I'll dip down, do some things in the northern part of Africa, and then try to come back up, or if I'm going to go to East Asia and work my way back that way. So it's not enough time. I mean, if I had 5 years, then I can kind of hit each continent slowly, a little bit slower, but it's hard for me to know what I want to. I'm just like, okay, just take the next step, Elida. What's this next one here, and then the next one, and then the next one. So
are you planning it all, or are you going to go and plan like a few weeks and then plan from there?
Yeah. So originally I had a completely different idea. I was going to connect with, and it's still a goal of mine, an artist in every country that I was going to. And I wanted to do this YouTube video series of everything that when I travel, it's like, I want to do something active because I'm super active. I want to do something surrounding food. And then I want something with art and culture. And so I wanted the YouTube to be like, okay, here's Elida on a hike in Marrakesh, and then the next thing she is eating at this wonderful, place and having this great tea and all these spices. And then the next thing she's hanging out with a weaver and they're doing, rug weaving and learning about the process of so something art driven or cultural driven. Because I had the last year and a half a bunch of health things that it's been going on since like February, not this last year, but the year before. I had a lot of different things happening with my body that everything just got put on pause. And so I've had to really readjust what my goal for this is. And I still have one other little surgery that I need to go through. But then if all goes well, then I'm buying, a ticket for Greece, like a round trip, or I'll probably get it to Amsterdam just so that I have some freedom to get those hopper flights once you're over there. And then it will be like, if I have to adjust it and put it on pause again, then I'll just wait and start it as soon as my body's ready to go. So it just, in some ways, it's been part of this grieving is just grieving this idea of what you had and your intention for both my career and where I was thinking for this idea that I've had to really it's not like it's not bad. It's just going to be different. And I have to be much more flexible because of what's gone on. So it might be that like I said, we'll see how my body does and what it's trying to tell me. And if, as long as I'm feeling good, I'll just keep going. But you have to grieve the fact that what you intended or what you expected is going to look different. And it's okay to be sad about that, and I think a lot of times, I'm super like, I don't know, I guess I'm just, some people half cup, your cup is half full or half empty. And I'm like, my cup is running over. It's always like just bubbling over with life and vibrancy and excitement, and so I think my tendency is sometimes to like brush through or rush through the grieving process and not really just acknowledge how much that hurt or how sad I am about something. And then I just move on to the next thing that's going to be fun. So I think this year and the last year and a half has been a really good reminder for me to just listen to my body, slow down, take a moment and really reassess. And it doesn't have to be the same thing, but I can still do something. It's just going to look a little different. So in terms of like planning it, I don't have a plan other than I'll start in Greece because I've got to go to the art school to start. But then from there, as I'm there, I'm going to start looking, okay, which countries do I want? Like I have some ideas. I have a friend who lives in Croatia. So I have like places that I can kind of land. And then I'll know that I've got to get back to whatever the main city is to get back home, at least by December. So I'll be gone for a minimum of 2 months, probably closer to 2.5, that first group of travel, and then come home for like a month or so and then start back down on the Central South America track.
Very cool. Yeah, I think that's the best way is just to plan a little bit at a time and just see it really, because it's like who you meet as well. You might meet a group that's like, hey, we're actually going to wherever. Do you want to come? And we're like, well, yeah, I do.
Right. I think especially as a solo traveler, like I'm totally with you in the fact that I love traveling. When I take our group tours, it's so fun. Like we just have the best time ever. And I love also traveling with a small group of friends or even with just one best friend, or it's also really fun. But there's something about traveling by yourself that one person added to a group is not a big deal. You can sleep on the floor, sleep on a couch. It's easy with just one person to be added into things or to adjust. But all of a sudden, too, you're like a team. It takes a little bit more planning. You got to, or if you're 3 or 4, you've really got to plan a little bit more. So there's some pros and cons. And for me, I felt like this trip needed to be a solo trip. I think there's some deep midlife questions and unraveling of some of the old things that I've, built in my life to just say, this is time for me to really reassess what I want to do with my life moving forward. And I think a lot of women in their midlives have this moment, I don't like to say crisis, but I'd like to say like it's an awakening. It's a time to really kind of say, what is really important here? And what do I want to do with this next phase of my life to make it the best ever? Right. So that's where I am.
So good for you for first recognizing that, taking time, and then just saying, why not me? Like there's a lot of people there's a lot of excuses that you could let hold yourself down. Like, well, this, and, I have this to take care of or something. And you're like, I'm just going to do it. Like this is a year of your life.
It is. And I think where I am right now, like my kids are raised, they're doing good. Everybody's healthy and thriving and doing well. My parents live just across the street from me, and it's like everybody loves Raymond. There's the door is open. My mom's involved. She can see down into my house. So I'm like, there's no real privacy around here, but they're good. They're healthy. And it's like, I just have this feeling like if I don't go now, like it might not happen. And I am such an advocate to people. So, for all of the people listening, like if there's something that you had in your heart to do it. Do it now while it's there, because we don't know. Like we had a whole 2 trips planned to Portugal and Spain for 2020. Well, 2020 hit and all of that got canceled. So we haven't put together another Portugal, Spain trip, and I don't know if we will. So sometimes it's like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, I think that really hit home for me, that it was like, I don't know what the future, if I can do it now and I feel like good in my heart to make that step, I'm going to do it, because I don't know if I'm going to get this opportunity again.
Yeah, so true. Yeah. When I was 21, I called off an engagement and went off traveling and did my own thing. And I can't recommend it enough. I saw the movie Eat, Pray, Love, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to be me if I don't do something about it.
I better go now. Do it before I have the meltdown in the marriage, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Good for you. That's a big thing to call up an engagement. Like and at 21, that took some guts.
Yeah, especially with like my parents and everybody being like, are you sure you want to do this? He's pretty great. Like, I was like, I know, I'm sorry. I just gotta go live my life.
Yes. I'm proud of you. That took a lot of guts. That's really a big deal.
Yeah. So where do you get the bulk of your income coming from art? Is it the classes?
Yeah, I would say that, we also did a membership here at the studio, and memberships are great because that's just reoccurring income that you can plan on monthly.
What does that look like exactly?
Yeah.
Like a membership to use the space?
Well, yeah. So we have a membership at the studio where I would offer like 8 classes a month, and they could get a membership for 2 classes a month where they come any of those 8 times, or they could get a membership for 4 classes a month. And so a lot of times people would either pick evenings or mornings, because I would do morning and evening classes, and they could switch it and be like, oh, I'm going on vacation next week. I'm going to do a morning and evening class this week. And then so they could get their 4 classes in or whatever. So it was just a reoccurring amount that we charged on a monthly basis once they were in for those classes that were at the studio. Now the kids classes, they sign up every month. And so we have it both on our website, but then also through the different districts that we work with. And so we'll get a roster at the beginning of the month, and we'll be like, okay, we have this many kids in this school. We have this many kids at this school. And so the thing about that is it can fluctuate. You can have like a month where we have, oh my word, Dorothy Fox has got 25 kids this month, but Prune Hill has 4. So it's like you can have this variation. It depends on the economy. It depends on if the kids have conflicting sports. So there's a lot of things and variables that go into that. But I would say that the classes have been the one thing that's kind of been my bread and butter, because especially kids classes, because people will, as a new parent, you'll spend on your kid. You'll be like, I'm not going to pay this for me, but my kid is going to get what they need first. So even during a really scarce time, or time that's like, you don't have, the economy's bad or whatever, people will still generally pay for their kids to do those things. And so that's been probably like, I can really count on knowing that, okay, if we've got X amount of classes, that we have a certain amount of money that's going to be consistently coming in. I would say my next, my tours and my workshops and those things do bring in a good amount of money, but I don't, based on the time, like I said, when I joke and say it's like 10 cents an hour, that's not going to be my consistent income. So I would say classes are probably the bulk of my income. When I do live paintings, or like I have a commission painting now, that's also a good bonus income, but I don't count on that. Like it's like, oh, I have a $3,000 commission right now, or, oh, I've got a doing a live painting and that painting auction for 5,000. So we make some of that profit too by doing the live painting. So there's like money that are kind of things that will come in as bonus, but the classes are that consistent monthly. I can count on it. We also do during the summer, we do camps, and those are great because so they kind of buffer, because we have like a few months like June where the classes are done at the schools, but we haven't started camp. So there's like there's no income coming in from classes, right? But then July starts and we have, 3 or 4 different camps going, and that money begins to come in and kind of bulks us up a little bit in the summertime. So I'd say classes is the number one. Even my workshops, like I'll do at wineries, I'll do like a paint and sip. I was doing paint and sips before there was paint and sips. I was like, geez, I'd go to wineries and I'd be like, this would be a great place to hold a class. And so I started talking to some local wineries. I was like, do you mind if maybe we do something here collaboratively? And so we didn't call it paint and sip, 25 years ago. We just called it paint night at the winery or whatever. And so I'll do like specific classes at different locations, and those will be like a step-by-step, people will finish a product at the end of the night. And those are really nice bonus. Again, those are things that kind of add to the money coming in. So, and the book, if you know anything about writing books, it's like one of those things that you're doing it with the understanding they're not going to make $1 million right off the bat, but it's like a slow build, as people begin to read it and share it. And it's like a little bit of money coming in from Amazon each month because people are buying the book there. So it's I don't really even include that in my income stream yet, because I'm just looking at breaking even, and then eventually knowing that that's going to help people learn about me or find me or encourage them to come take I have online classes, so they could do something with my online classes, or they could come and do a live workshop, or maybe they want to join a tour in the future. It's kind of, again, that thing that just helps them to connect back to you. So I would say classes is the number one, though.
It doesn't surprise me, since you raised 3 kids, that now that they're out of the house and you're filling your time with all of these really cool things that stretch you really far. I feel like raising 3 children, I only have 1 toddler, and I can see how I have a peek into having 3 kids, especially as a single mom. You do all these things, and now you're just continuing that, especially writing a book and all the things. So kudos to you.
Thank you. It's been, I would say my advice looking back, there was kind of this moment where I'm finally here. Like, I think you're working so hard and there's that frustration. So like, especially for young moms, I just want to encourage you that it's a sweet time. And it goes by fast. And I know they say it feels like it doesn't go by fast when all you're doing is making snacks and dealing with stinky diapers and meltdowns. It feels like the longest day of your life. But there's this striving, like you keep thinking like, okay, if I can only get here, like you're wanting to get there. And then all of a sudden you've arrived and you're here. And like, I've done all these things. I've set up this business. I'm doing, my goal was to be traveling 6 weeks a year. I've been doing that consistently for the last 15 years. I've done all the things that I was like trying to get to. And there's a little bit of sadness that those old times are over, because it was such a cool time. So I know it's so cliche to be like, it's all about the journey and not so much about the destination, but it really is. And I think just like I'm now getting reminded of that. My grandson is 5 and we do Nona days. And he is constantly interested in that bug on the flower or that mushroom that's growing in the dirt. And I'm just getting this opportunity to slow down and just say, these were the things that I was too busy as a mom to like, we got to go, we got to schedule, we got things to do. I've got 1,000 things, that I'm actually getting to enjoy a second round of that, which is really sweet and wonderful. But just enjoy where you are. That's all. Just take it all in, because looking back, some of my best memories and some of my very best stories are in the thick of it. in the mix of all the chaos and the kids and the raising and the things. So I love each phase, and I love this phase that I am in now, but I will say that there's moments of nostalgia that I miss where you are.
Yeah.
For a minute, and then I think, oh my gosh, I want to take a nap.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Because I'm always so scared I'm going to miss out on this because he's almost
Yeah.
and you just stare at him, man. I'm like, you gorgeous thing I've ever seen, and so cute and so funny, like the funniest thing. Yeah, it's cool. I'm like, I don't want to leave you, but I've got to go do this thing for a little bit. And
yes, but you know, when you do this too, like taking that time and doing your week away, it really is good for you. Like, it's hard because you'll miss and you'll have this kind of moment, but it's good for everybody. It's good for your husband to have to, you know, take on all of that and try to juggle that. It's good for your son to have like just some one-on-one time and have that little break away from mom and kind of get to know that mom is a person outside of just being a mom. She's an artist and she's an entrepreneur and she's a business lady. So I think it's really healthy. I mean, the one thing I would get a lot of feedback from people, and it's interesting, like there would be some negativity. Oh, you're leaving to go to Italy, and well, what are you going to do with your kids? You know? And it's like, okay, if I was a man and I was an engineer and I was going to China, you wouldn't say jack about what I'm doing. But because I'm going to Italy and this was part of my career, and because I'm an artist, there's this eyebrow raise, like I'm somehow being a bad mom, or somehow this is not, you know, you're neglecting your responsibilities. But I will tell you, it was wonderful for my kids because all of them are very grounded. I mean, they're doing amazing things with their lives. My two sons just went to Thailand by themselves for 3 weeks last year. And, you know, they've traveled, they are much more tolerant and open to other cultures and experiences. And so even through osmosis, by you being, you know, somebody who travels and goes experiences different things, they'll be better. You know, I'm not saying like leave your kids and go travel. Don't do your 50 countries like me and see you next year, son. But I am saying a week in Costa Rica is valid and it's important. And I think it shows that he'll learn that that's a happy balance and you'll be happier. And in turn, your family's going to be happier. So keep going.
Thanks for that. Yeah, it definitely makes me appreciate him even more. It's hard to do that even more. When I come home, it's just a different level of appreciation for him. Yeah. But yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I know like anytime I get anybody to talk travel, I'm like, all right, let's it's my favorite subject.
Dive in.
Can you tell us a bit about your book? How do we get it? What is it about exactly before we get off there?
It is for anybody who's going through transitions. And I think that's kind of the whole world right now. So whether you are trying to transition into motherhood and, you know, juggling that different transition, or if you're going through a divorce and you're dealing with that, or you're going through empty nesters, going through that kind of transition, or it could even be just a transition outside of your, you know, like in your business or something else, and you just need something that's going to inspire you. The book, every chapter will give you a little lesson. So there it opens with, you know, the dark darks make the brights bright. Or, you know, that's a really good one. And you're going to go, okay, I'm going through a really hard time. But, you know, just like going through a dark tunnel and you get outside in the light, everything is illuminated and more beautiful. And so it's going to help you in these different times in your life. You're going to say that lesson really resonates with me, because what I found with art was that I was teaching these lessons and then I was noticing, oh my gosh, everything that I'm teaching, I'm also dealing with in some aspect of my life. So you're going to get the lesson in the classroom, but then you're going to get what I had to learn in my life, and some of that's going to hit home for you. So you can get this on Amazon. You can also go to my website. We'll have local bookstores that are carrying it and where I'm doing some book readings. Also, if anybody's interested in me coming and doing a book and paint night, we do like a reading from the book and everybody gets a book and then we do a painting about the lesson. And that's so fun. So I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Don't book me until 2026 or 27 because I won't. If you're listening to this and you're in Europe and you want to host me, I'll bring my books, we'll travel. So yes, they can check it out on Amazon. I'm right in the process of doing the Audible right now. So I'm reading at a studio over in Portland. And that's been fun. I've been working with a voice coach. And so I'll be having that coming out soon. There's a Kindle version and there's also the printed version. And again, it's nobody dies in art class. It's the first rule I have in art, which I only have 3 rules. It's nobody dies, there's no mistakes, and have fun. And that's it. That's how we start all the classes is nobody's going to die here. So take a big breath. No art attacks are happening. So take some big breaths, especially adults. They forget to breathe sometimes when they're painting. And then there's no mistakes. There's just different directions. So be open for what things are going to direct you and change, directions in the process. And then have fun because the fun factor always outweighs my common sense. I'm like, okay, if it's not fun, I'm not doing it. I'm out of here. So it's got to be fun. So it's a really great, fast read. And I think you're going to get some super great, insightful little lessons that then you can start to say and being more intuitive in your process. Like when you're painting or when you're doing your mural and you keep finding you're getting maybe stuck with perfectionism. And then you have to step back and go, wow, what else in my life am I, being so perfectionistic, right? So it's just a really great connection between the creativity and what's really happening in the real world.
Love it. Love it all. And it's called Nobody Dies in Art Class.
Nobody dies in art class. That's right. All the lessons I've taught, not all of them, but a lot of lessons I taught in art and then had to learn in my life. So it'll take you through there's this, a little string that leads you through my life from 2009 to the present. So you're getting right in the heart of the recession. I'm going through the process of the divorce. I'm losing my home. And I think, geez, this is a great time to open up an art studio.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us about all the things. I'm also an October Libra, and I feel like you're a different version of.
That's right. When is your birthday? October what?
17th.
Oh, 17 is such a lucky number. I'm jealous. Well, that's awesome. I love it.
You have 7. Lucky 7.
I know. Well, 7 is pretty lucky too. And I was born in 75. So I'm like, I've got a couple 7s happening there. But I feel a super kindred spirit to any other Libra. And I think it's that we must have something in our souls that we have to travel. Like if we're not traveling, we slowly die, And it's like people will say, well, what would happen if you didn't travel? I would be like, I would lose my vibrancy. I would be a much duller version. If I don't go, I start to feel, it's like an addict. It's like I start hitting my arm, gotta go. I need that hit. I need that international hit of something, something different culture, different people, different experiences. So I feel you as another Libra from the 7th to the 17th. I feel you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I totally get that. Sometimes I'll just go on Google Flights and let's just see what's happening.
Just look and see what's happening around the world. Well, and I've been to Costa Rica a few times, and one of the trips I wanted to learn to surf. Well, I'm almost 50. I'm not a strong swimmer. Why would I think that would be a good idea? But it was one of those things I was just really wanted to try. And so again, I just booked a flight and I was there for a month and I was kind of getting okay. I wouldn't say I'm a strong surfer, but I was getting this big badonk up on that surfboard long enough to ride a few waves. So I was very proud of the fact. But again, I just looked on and I was like, well, what's happening in Costa Rica? Here's a flight. I'm just doing it. Yeah. Off I went, So I feel you.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. You're a very good podcast guest. I don't have to ask you questions to get information out of you. You're like, this is all I have. Let me entertain you with this story. And I'm like, this is podcast gold. Thank you.
I love it. I was worried I was too talky because, I'm a very fast chatter, but I get so excited and I want to like share with you all the things. But for real, if anybody has any questions business wise in terms of those things, I also have an online class that's called Art as Business. And it's a great for starters, like just if they need like the cliff notes of the things to do, like pricing work, getting those things out, that all that good stuff, it's in there. But I just want to share and help other artists. Like my whole goal is that I want artists to be successful. And if they're passionate and if they can have anything that I can give them to help, I'm available. So they can reach me at elidaart.com. You can always shoot me an email there. Just Elida Art on Instagram is another one. And then Elida Art Studio and Gallery on my Facebook page. It's Elida Field like a field of flowers. So yeah, any way you guys want to reach out, or if you had other questions, and then I want all the information about East Asia and Morocco from you. So you got to send it to me and help a girl out. And then if you need help with anything with retreats and workshops, it's an open door invitation here. So just know that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Artist Academy podcast. And as promised, I'm going to give you some details of our upcoming mural meetup in Costa Rica of January 2026. This is at a location that we have already been to. We had an amazing host this past January, and he wants us back. This was the first meetup that we did of this current year, 2025, and it went so well. The place was amazing. It was this beautiful villa that had a really big main villa that overlooked the lake and the Costa Rican jungle. And then it has a bunch of little villas all around it. And we did an indoor and an outdoor mural, and our host loved it so much, and we loved it too. I think it was probably the nicest, as in like luxury place that we have been so far. And so when our host asked us to come back, I was like, absolutely, we would love to. So this mural meetup, it's going to be covering, let's see, first off, we're going to start the day doing yoga. We're going to have 2 meals, brunch and dinner, prepared by a local Costa Rican chef. We had this last time. It was amazing. We actually only did the dinner last time. And so this time I'm like, okay, no, we need the full experience. So they're going to come. It's a mother-daughter duo. They don't speak a lick of English. They come and they make this beautiful just meats and rice and fruits and soups. And it's pretty great. So we're going to eat well, do yoga in the morning. And then, of course, the whole reason you guys are going to come is to come and learn the process of painting a mural. I will show spray paint techniques from a beginner/intermediate. I'm not quite the expert just yet, but I've been diving heavily into spray paint, having learned from many of the veterans that we've had at the meetups and locally, and I've learned a lot. And I am very confident to teach you the basics/intermediates of spray paint with all the different caps. And we're going to create these really big jungle leaf scenes with spray paint and a mix of latex paint. So a little bit of everything. I'm going to show you what brushes I use, the techniques I use to landscapes, just a little bit of everything. So I started doing these mural meetups. Oh gosh, this is probably like the 10th mural meetup or more that maybe like 12th that I've ever done. And I really feel like I've gotten more of a hold on it now. I'm feeling really confident to going into this one, especially since we've already been to this location. I know exactly what to do, how to make the schedule and everything based on little hiccups from last year. I feel like every place we go is a new adventure, right? But I'm so excited to go back to Costa Rica. There's this excursion that we were going to do. It's like these, you go over these bridges over the Costa Rican jungle, and we were going to do it. We ran out of time, and it's all I've been thinking about since. So we're doing a mix of yoga, eating good food, learning how to paint murals. We're going to do 2 of them. They're going to be indoors. I mean, as much indoors. Everything's pretty open air there. And we're going to be doing excursions. There's a volcano there that some of the artists that have already committed saying that they want to climb. It's a full-on experience. It's a travel experience. So if you are interested in joining our adventure or painting escapade in Costa Rica, I would love to have you. And I have a link here that has a video full of all the details. You get to see a link of the place we're staying. You get to see videos from last year, what we painted last year, and the exact dates and everything. So if you go to artistacademy.co/meetup, everything will be there. And by the way, if you are an Artist Academy member, the link to book goes live October 1st. And if you are not an Artist Academy member, the link to book will be live the following week. So if you are a member of the Artist Academy, you have a full 7 days before the rest of the artist world has a chance to book it. We have, I'm not sure exactly how many spots we have right now, but because we have a couple people that have booked, but around 10 or so artists are coming. And yeah, it's a more intimate kind of thing. Like I said, I've done meetups with 30 people, meetups with 5 people. And it's just, I feel like that sweet spot is somewhere in the 10 artist range. So you get to work one-on-one with me and some of the other artists there. All artists of all different skill levels come. We have some that are really good with a brush but don't know spray at all. We have some that have only painted one mural in their life and it was for their grandmother in her kitchen. Some people are super brand new and some people have been doing it for a long time. So whatever your skill level and confidence level is, we are here to expand upon it. So if you have any questions, please reach out, but go to the link artistacademy.co/meetup if you are interested, and I will see you next week.